Thank you for watching our research videos from the EOG-RRC group here at the University of Alberta. In this research, we study the emulsion generation by activating nanoparticles and asphaltenes that are naturally occurring in the reservoir. Some important factors, such as nanoparticle or asphaltene concentration, pH, and oil aromaticity on the emulsion stability will be presented. One of the main mechanisms used in improving heavy oil recovery by chemical methods is emulsification. The high oil recovery through the formation of water and oil emulsions can be attributed to the high emulsion viscosity, which is favorable for mobility control and the semi-miscible displacement process enabled by the external oil phase nature in water and oil emulsions. British chemist S.U. Pickering observed that solid particles can also stabilize emulsions with a higher stability than those stabilized by surfactants. Since clays and asphaltenes are naturally present in the reservoir, we proposed the emulsion generation by activating said clays and asphaltenes, then using the results to study the emulsion stability. Factors affecting Pickering emulsion stability include, but are not limited to, particle size and concentration, electrolyte type and concentration, water-to-oil ratio, oil type, and particle wettability. There are two sets of experimental setups in our research. One is for studying nanoparticles, and the second is for studying asphaltenes. The emulsion was prepared using sonication and homogenization for glass vial tests in the nanoparticle study. Then, emulsion samples were analyzed under a microscope. pH, salinity, and water-to-oil ratio were controlled accordingly to study their effects. Both sandpack flooding and micromodel tests were also used in the nanoparticle study to simulate the emulsion flow in porous medium conditions. Silica sands or glass beads were used to mimic the unconsolidated sand formation with high porosity and permeability. To complete the asphaltene study, first the model oil was prepared by mixing the heptane and toluene, or heptol, at a certain ratio. During the preparation of model oil, different amounts of asphaltene were dissolved into toluene first. Then the toluene containing asphaltene was mixed with heptane to prepare the model oil with a certain amount of asphaltene particles. Next, the model oil was mixed with aqueous solutions containing different pH and salinity conditions using a homogenizer. The prepared emulsions were examined under a transmitted light microscope to determine the emulsion structure. Various concentrations, 1%, 3%, and 5%, of clay particles, bentonite and kaolinite, were tested through glass vial tests to study their effects on emulsion stability. Glass vial results show that when the bentonite concentration was 3% or above, stable oil and water emulsions were formed. Microscopic images show that as the concentration of bentonite increases, the surface coverage of oil droplets by clay particles increases, helping to stabilize the oil and water emulsions. When the clay concentration was 3% and above, a thin film of bentonite particles formed around the oil droplets, as indicated by the red arrow and circle, preventing the coalescence of droplets and thus improving emulsion stability. Broad pH environments, ranging from 2 to 12, were examined to see the pH effect on emulsion stability. Glass vial results show that bentonite was able to stabilize oil and water emulsions when the pH was 4 or above, and failed when the pH was 2. When the pH was 2, the black oil settled at the bottom in the glass vial and was covered by bentonite particles. Alternatively, the kaolinite failed to stabilize emulsions over all tested pH conditions. According to the microscopic images, the smaller emulsion droplets were stabilized when the pH was 12, in comparison to those under other pH conditions. Example, a pH of 4, 7, and 10. This was because at such high pH conditions, sodium hydroxide reacted with the acid components in the heavy oil, thus reducing the interfacial tension, or IFT, between the heavy oil and aqueous solution. The formed emulsion was stable without phase separation 24 hours after emulsion preparation, when asphaltene was above 1.5 weight percentage, while the complete phase separation happened when no asphaltene was added. When the asphaltene was below 1.5 weight percentage, Some limited phase separation was observed as indicated by the red arrows. These microscopic images further confirmed that the emulsion was stable when asphaltene concentration was 1.5 weight percentage and above, where a film-like layer formed by asphaltenes covers water droplets and thus stabilized the water and oil emulsion. The effect of oil aromaticity was studied by adjusting the ratios of heptene and toluene, thus generating model oils with various polar environments. The lower the ratio, the more polar the oil environment, since toluene becomes the main part of the oil phase. As can be seen, the emulsion was stable when the heptol ratio was neutral, such as 7:3 and 1:1. At extreme heptol ratios, such as 9:1, 3:7, and 1:9, the emulsions became unstable and phase separation was observed. This might be because at a very high heptol ratio, 9:1, the oil is more non-polar, and large asphaltene particles exist in the oil phase, which is less surface active and leads to unstable emulsions. While at extremely low heptol ratios, asphaltene was strongly solvated due to the high polar environment and the particle size in molecular range. Thank you for watching this video. For more research and educational videos, please visit our website at eogrrc.com.